For rural tourism and rural tourism operators, absolutely, this is the time to be talking about your destination. People want to replace air travel with road trips, and they want to go to places that aren't crowded. You have the ideal opportunity to bring people to your location.
You guys, I have been working on something for the last 6 months that has been such a giant project, but I'm so proud of it. I'm excited to announce that I've just released my book. It's called Touch Points, and it's the Destination Marketer's Guide to Brand Evaluation and Enhancement. And it is a comprehensive guide for destinations to look at their brand, evaluate what you've done, and make a very clear and detailed plan of action of how to fix it. And look, I'm biased, right? Because I wrote it, but I think it's so good. I think it's a great guide, and I'm really, really happy with how it turned out. And I wanted to tell you guys about it. It's available on Amazon. Search Touch Points by Adam Stoker, and you'll be able to get that book for your destination. And I think it's going to be, especially for anyone that is trying to look at their brand holistically, this is the book for you. So check it out. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Destination Marketing Podcast. I'm your host, Adam Stoker. I'm excited to be with you today. We've got a great show for you, and something that we haven't necessarily spent as much time as I would like on the podcast, talking about public relations and how destinations should be leveraging or can be leveraging public relations, especially during this coronavirus crisis. So before we move any further, I want to welcome our guest to the show. Her name is Christina Lenkowski. And Christina, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh, we're really excited to have you. And I love that we're going to get your PR specific perspective on the destination marketing industry and also how PR plays into that. I think it's very much needed right now with what everybody's going through. So before we do that, though, we have got a couple of icebreaker questions we like to ask.
Let's do it. Let's break some ice.
Yep.
Yeah,
let's do it. So first of all, we always like to ask what your dream destination is. If you could go anywhere in the world that you haven't been, where would it be?
For me, it would be Australia. I have never been to Australia, and just in the past few years, I've made a couple of really great friends through the tourism world that live in Australia. And I would just love to go there and be able to visit them and check out a part of the world that I have never been to.
You know, that's a real popular answer here on the show, and I can see why, because Australia is such an alluring destination, and I think it would be so fun to go. I personally have never been there. Is there a specific activity that you would want to do while you're there, or something that you've seen that causes you to really want to be there?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I'm a big wine aficionado. I
Okay.
grew up in the Willamette Valley of Oregon, so you gotta love wine if you're from there. And so I would love to do some wine tasting. But the other thing that I would really enjoy doing is actually seeing kangaroos. This is something that's kind of embarrassing to me, but until I was way older than you should be, I thought that kangaroos were a made up animal, like a unicorn or something like that. Like I didn't think that they actually existed. And so once I kind of someone was like, no, they're everywhere. Like that's a real thing. I was like, I gotta see one day. I just gotta see one in person. So that's definitely something that I would love to check out.
Yeah, there's some magical allure there from Australia for you.
Exactly. And like I said, definitely way too old to be thinking that they were not a real thing. So yes.
Okay, Christina. So when you finally do get down there, you'll have to let me know if kangaroos really are a real thing.
Okay.
Just for clarification purposes.
I'll take some pictures. I'll let you know.
Okay, perfect. What about places you've been? What's your favorite place you've ever visited?
You know, I am very lucky to have traveled around this world, a lot of places, but I got to live in Ireland after college for about 6 months. And that was hands down one of the most fun times of my life. I was a bartender in an Irish bar, and I lived with some other Americans. And yeah, I just had an amazing, amazing time. And that was the first time that I'd actually been out of the United States and by myself. On top of that, I literally got on a plane and flew to Ireland without a real plan. And all I had was a student visa because I had just graduated. And so that meant I could work and just did it. And so that was definitely, one of the most impactful travel experiences of my life for sure.
Okay, so I have questions.
Okay.
Picking up and just one-way ticket to Ireland, what made you choose Ireland, and
Yeah.
what led you to do that? Give me a little background on
Yeah,
that.
great question. So, I am a certified futurist. I am always thinking in the future, always thinking ahead. I have a really hard time living in the moment to a certain extent. And, I just knew that there I was at age 21, 22, and I had been the editor of the paper at my school, Oregon State University, go Beebs. And I hadn't felt like I was able to leave, like I hadn't been able to do that college study abroad experience. In retrospect, I wish I had, but I didn't. So I knew that this was the time to go. I knew that if I didn't go now, then I wasn't ever going to do it. And then I was going to have to come home and get a job and, kind of start my life in that way. So I was still under my parents' health insurance, and Ireland was one of the places that I could get a student visa. And also, they spoke English. So that was a big plus.
Yeah.
And it just was a place I'd always wanted to go. So that's why I chose it, and that's why I went there. And those are the kind of choices you make at age 22. And now at my age now, 37, I don't think I would be able to just get on a plane and go somewhere I'd never been by myself, but that was how I felt then, and I'm super glad that I did it.
Wow, that sounds incredible. I admire the ability to just pick up and go. I think that's pretty awesome.
Yes, it was very awesome, and I was lucky to have a very supportive family, to do that, because then I came back home and I turned around and I lived in Mexico for 4 months. So they didn't
Goodness
really see me
gracious.
at home for about a year, but it was an amazing year, and I'm so glad that I did it.
Very cool. Okay. All right. Well, that's a great lead in. You don't live in Ireland or Mexico anymore.
No.
So tell us a little bit about, you, your background, and how you ended up doing what you're doing.
Yes. So I currently live in Boise, Idaho, and we've been here about 9 years. We love it here. I'm originally from the Portland, Oregon area, like I said earlier, the Willamette Valley specifically. And so, anyways, I grew up. My mom was the director of the Agribusiness Council of Oregon. So I grew up in these kind of rural agritourism situations and areas. And after college and after I did my traveling, I was like, all right, now you have to get a job. And the first job that I ever got was in PR. And at first, I wasn't sure that I was going to like PR. I just didn't know if it was going to be the right fit for me. I was more of a writer, etc. But actually, PR ended up being a fantastic blend of my writing, but also of my social. Like, I love to talk to people. I'm very social. That's why this quarantine is extra hard for people like me. But those were the things that I kind of started to love about PR. And my first job was actually with a comics company in Portland called Dark Horse Comics, and I
Okay.
absolutely loved working there. I had a great time, got to go to Comic Con, got to do all those really fun things. But when I moved on to my next job, which was at an agency, I was able to work with a tourism client, and that was Travel Oregon and the Willamette Valley Visitors Association. And I just fell in love. It was two of my passions coming together, and that was kind of where my tourism PR journey started. And so I've spent the last about 12 or 13 years working for various agencies or myself as a consultant, working with tourism destinations that range from state all the way down to small mom and pop organizations. And basically, a couple of years ago, I kind of had this light bulb moment when I was talking to one of my clients about why she did all the work she did. And, her response really changed the course of my career, which was she said, I want my kids to stay here. Right now, there's nothing for them, and I want to make this a destination. And that
Wow.
really, really spoke to me. And it made me realize that there are so many people and places out there that want to do this. They want to create a destination and they want to bring people to that destination, but they can't afford a big agency or they can't afford other things. So my mission became to teach people how to do PR themselves. And that's what I've done for the past few years.
Okay. Awesome. Well, that's a great kind of roundup of your experience there, and the source of your passion for tourism and PR. And the one of the reasons I wanted to have you on is we are in the middle of maybe the biggest PR crisis in the
Yes,
history of the travel industry,
absolutely,
right?
absolutely, yes.
And so I want to talk a little bit about, just let's start with the basics of, give me what destinations should be prioritizing from a PR perspective right now.
Absolutely. So I have three things that I really think the destination should be focusing on right now. One of those is you may have a little bit more extra downtime. So one of those is updating your online media kit. And what I mean by that is, on your website, you might have a space. It might be called media kit. It might be called press room, press kit, etc. Perhaps you don't have one of these yet. But a lot of destinations have never had the time to do a media kit right, or it hasn't been updated in like a year plus. It always kind of falls to the bottom of the priority list. So this is a great time for destinations to be going through and making sure that they have all the information that they want or need, and that they get it looking nice, easy to read, and the contact info is really clear.
Okay, so let me ask you about those
Yes.
media kits, because I think we've got some big destinations that
Yep.
listen. Some of them may have a full PR
Absolutely.
team, but we also have some that may not even have a full-time PR person. So what are the components of a solid media kit that a destination should have and be working on right now?
Absolutely. The things that there's kind of the basic things that you would have in anyone, which is contact info. You might have your past press releases, past media coverage that you've seen. And those are definitely the things that a lot of times need to be updated. You should have some photos in there. I do not think that you should have to have people sign up to get your photos. And by people, I mean members of the media, before you give them the photos. So I think that they should be instantly downloadable, at least a low res version. And then if they need a high res version, they can come to you and ask you specifically for that. But
Okay.
those are a few things that I think should be in there. And then a few things that I always like to add on are itineraries. People love itineraries and the media loves it. So if you do like a 24 hours in Boise, for instance, where I live, what should they do in those 24 hours or 48 hours? And get specific, like what restaurant should they go to and what should they eat at that restaurant, etc. These are the type of things that reporters just really love. So I highly recommend doing itineraries. I like to have a facts and figures sheet. So something like how many people live there, when was the city founded, just kind of easy stuff like that. How many parks are there, etc. So those are kind of some of the information. And I get asked a lot, like, why is an online media kit important? And from a reporter's perspective, they just want to be able to find information quickly and easily. Okay. And our job in PR, honestly, our number one job is to make a reporter's life easier. Okay. So I need to make sure that they can get all the information that they need fast, quick, and easy, because otherwise they're just going to move on to the next destination.
Okay. All right, so let's talk about that. And you insinuated something that I just want to make sure that our listeners understand. It's not that reporters are lazy per se.
No,
Uh, However, when it's easy for them, they are more likely to use your information than someone who makes it hard for them. Is that fair to say?
exactly, exactly. And I think most of us feel that way. And it's
Right.
not necessary. Yeah, just like you said, it's not laziness. Honestly, a lot of them are working on five different stories at one time. They're working on different things at different times, and they just don't have the bandwidth to be reaching out and asking for a bunch of information. Even if you feel like you think that they might need to or that they should, the reality is that they're probably not going to do that. So if they can't find the information quickly or hear back from you quickly, then they're just going to move on to the next person who can get them that information quickly.
Okay. So that's great advice on a resource to create
Yep.
to give reporters the ability to use your information. Tell me, what else should people be looking for?
I think that you should be focusing, or destinations should be focusing on reactive media opportunities. And what I mean by that is there are, again, for bigger destinations, people that work with an agency, this might be something they already do, but there are amazing sources like Haro, which is Help a Reporter, and Source Bottle that are a free way to get media coverage for your destination. And essentially, a reporter will put in a query. So they'll say, hey, I'm looking for XYZ from a destination, or, we're looking for this source. and you can actually see those requests and respond. And there were a few weeks, back about a month ago, where reporters and writers were only looking for COVID related stories. Absolutely. They were like, what is happening? Just like the rest of the world. They wanted to get that information. But they are starting to go back to asking for typical tourism stories. And, I even have a couple of examples here for ones that just came through in the last 48 hours to give some examples of that. One is that there was a publication looking for best places to travel for nature lovers, and they give that information. So if that's something that works for you, you can absolutely reply to this. Another one that just came through yesterday, spa getaways for guys. And that's from a cancer wellness magazine that's looking for this feature. So these are opportunities that are coming through every single day that you could be responding to if it makes sense. And that could be a great way for you to start getting some more coverage.
Yeah, great resources and great points for people. So to make sure that people understand how to reach these specific outlets, Haro is just HARO.com,
It's
right?
actually helpareporter.com. Yep.
Helpareporter.com. Okay.
Helpareporter.com and sourcebottle.com are the two that I
Sourcebottle.com.
use. And I actually have a reactive media guide on my website, which is on my resources page. And that is a free download that anybody can download. And it'll talk about where to sign up, what they look like, how to respond, etc. But essentially, yes, these are free places where you can go sign up and get these queries sent to your email every day.
Great. And you would classify these actions on these two sites as reactive PR opportunities, right? Like
Yes,
people that are
exactly.
looking for stories.
Yep,
Okay.
you're reacting to the media.
Tell me, as a destination, what proactively can I be doing to get the media coverage that I'm looking for?
Absolutely, you should proactively be pitching. And a great way to do that is off of editorial calendars. So, when it comes to travel and tourism media, print publications are typically working on a 5 to 7 month schedule, 5 to 7 months out. So, now is the perfect time to be pitching your locations for stories coming up this fall and winter. And I actually had some interesting stats on that because fall is when we are really seeing an uptake. I actually was watching a presentation from destination analysts today, and fall is when a lot of Americans are foreseeing that that's when they're going to start really traveling again. So if you can be pitching now for stories that are going to land this September, October, November, you are in a perfect time frame for that. And I know I kind of spoke about the editorial calendars, but I'm happy to go into what those kind of look like if you think that's helpful.
Yeah, let's give a brief overview.
Sure. So editorial calendars, basically at the beginning of before each new year, each new calendar year, so usually around October, we will see the editorial calendars for the next year come out. And what that means is that print publications, like let's say for instance, like Martha Stewart Living, in October of 2019, they published their 2020 editorial calendar. And what that means is it's essentially a list of what they're going to publish over the next year. This is free. This is something that you can get in their media kits or in the advertising section, typically online. So you can actually see, like, okay, Martha Stewart Living is going to be posting about or is going to be talking about epic road trips in November of 2020. I don't know if they'd really be talking about road trips in November, but
Sure.
let's just give an example there. In November 2020. So I should absolutely be pitching my destination right now to see if we can get in that feature. Um, the thing about proactive pitching or editorial calendars, I like to use this analogy. I used to think that, like, for awards, right? Like award shows or things like that, people just recognized the amazing work that someone was doing and gave them an award. Okay, like
Yeah.
it's just like the kangaroos. Like I was way too old to be thinking that that's how that worked. But in actuality, when it comes to an award show, someone applies for that award, is judged if they deserve to get that award, and then potentially, given the award. And that's how you need to look at proactive pitching. When you see stories in a lot of media publications, they didn't just think, oh, this would be a cool thing to write about. They were pitched that story, they were judged, and then they decided that they were going to write on it. So that's kind of the analogy that I like to use for that. And that's kind of the way to look at editorial calendars.
Perfect. Perfect. That's great advice. Okay. What else? Give me one more thing that proactively that destinations should be doing. And you and I were talking before about rural destinations and
Yes.
opportunities for them. So maybe let's focus this one on what rural destinations can be doing.
I mean, my big advice for rural destinations is don't be going dark right now at all. Again, I was saying I listened to that presentation earlier today. The top two places that people are looking to go as soon as they're able to travel again, number one is beaches, and number two is rural areas. And that should be huge, huge for people that are in rural areas. And the reason for that is they feel safe traveling there. They want to go to a place where there's not as many people that they can drive to. That's exactly what visitors are looking for and what they're wanting to do as soon as they start traveling again. So, for rural tourism and rural tourism operators, absolutely, this is the time to be talking about your destination. People want to replace air travel with road trips and they want to go to places that aren't crowded. You have the ideal opportunity to bring people to your location.
Yeah, such a great point, especially with the idea of social distancing, and
Yep.
I don't think that's going away
No,
anytime soon.
no.
Uh, Going to New York or going to a small town in New Mexico, it used to be that New York was the easy choice, and
Right.
nothing against a small town in New Mexico, right? Like, it's just
Oh,
it's
sure.
a really appealing destination, especially for people that haven't been. But right now, the little town in New Mexico sounds way more appealing
Yes.
than New
Yes.
York,
Exactly.
And so I think you make a really good point there. Let's talk about, a lot of rural destinations have local news outlets, and in most cases, they're really hungry for content.
Yes.
How can a destination take advantage of that need? I shouldn't say take advantage, but capitalize on that
Yeah,
need.
exactly. Capitalize on the opportunity. I mean, it's there, absolutely. It's hard because right now, just like we've been talking about, we're obviously at a place where we're not really encouraging people to come and stay at our hotels or dine at our restaurants or things like that. But if you're a rural area that has some outdoor activities, like maybe you have a beautiful lake, or perhaps you have some hiking trails or bouldering or something like that, that is absolutely the type of thing that you can be sending to your local news stations or sending to your local publications and say, hey, these are still open. If people want to come and they're, stay 6 feet away from each other, we have this beautiful lake. We have these beautiful hiking trails. I mean, for instance, I have a 5-year-old, and I tell you, we have been hiking like crazy up around
Yeah.
Boise because we just need to get out of the house. You know what I mean? And people want to do that right now. They want to get out of their house in a place that's safe, right? So if you're in a rural area and you have these things, invite people to come out and at least be taking advantage of those resources. Because once they know that they're there, they're going to want to come back. So hopefully they'll come back in the fall or in the winter, and then they'll actually be able to stay at one of your hotels, dine in one of your restaurants, etc. The other thing that I really recommend, and I know that some governments have shut this all down, but I recommend boondocking, which is dry dock camping. So people that have an RV that is fully self-contained. Um, I know that this isn't the most popular opinion among people. I know that there are people that disagree with me, but I think that if people are able to go to a campsite or go to a campground, because there are ones that are still open, especially public campgrounds, and be self-contained and be, you're definitely going to be further than 6 feet away from someone. I think that's a good thing, and that's still bringing at least some money into your destination. So I think that boondocking or dry camping, and it's totally okay if you want to lock up your bathrooms, lock up all that type of stuff so that people can't use them, and you are very specifically open for only that dry docking experience.
Okay. All right. That's interesting. I wanna go a little bit back to what you were talking about before with working with the local news outlets,
Uh-huh.
right?
Yeah.
Um, I feel like news outlets are always looking for a subject matter expert. And that way, if they're ever going to run a story about small business, if they've already identified that small business within their destination, or excuse me, within the news outlets coverage area, right? That's the small business expert. They'll bring that person on over and over, or they'll use
Right.
them as a resource. They'll quote them, right?
Hmm.
How does a destination make sure, and I think this is critical for destinations, because there's a lot of businesses within a destination that have agendas that are specific to their business, whereas the destination has
Right.
the entire destination's best interest in mind.
Absolutely.
So how can the destination make sure that it's positioned as the expert voice or voice of reason for that industry, for that news outlet? Does that make sense? That was kind of a weirdly worded question, but I hope I
I
got my
think
point
I got
across.
your gist. I think I got your gist. So I mean, I think that the big thing is just making contact. I think, like we talked about, maybe there's some natural resources in your area. Sending that out to your local reporter, your local news person, and here's a hot tip: if you don't know who that is, call the news outlet. So just pick up the phone, call the front desk, and just say, hey, I have a story idea, or I'd like to pitch something to a reporter or the newsroom. What is the best email for that? I have never had an issue when I pick up the phone, call any place, and just ask them for an email. Okay, even if it's for a specific person, if you know the exact person that you want to reach out to, just pick up the phone, call them, and they will get that email address right to you. Sometimes you may even want to speak with someone in the newsroom. But the biggest thing I think is making yourself available and letting them know that if they want to talk at all about all that's going on in the tourism world, that you're there to help them. And you right now have huge stats to be able to back up that pitch. Hey, we're seeing that a lot of people are wanting to get outside right now. Here are some ways that they can safely get outside in our area. If you want to talk with me about this further, or do a camera, come and do a camera shot of this area, we're happy to set that up. Here's my information. I'm available anytime if you want to chat further about this or other tourism related stories. Just making yourself known to them and making yourself available, I think, is going to be huge.
Totally makes sense. Okay, that's great advice. I think destinations have got to take advantage of that opportunity, especially
Absolutely.
right now when travel content, there's so much hunger for it right
Hmm.
now. Establish yourself as that voice of reason. Call the news outlet and say, we want to be this person for you, and make sure that it's not the restaurant or hotel that may
Exactly.
have a different agenda, right? So
Exactly. Yep.
yeah, I think that's great. Well, give me just a couple of PR don'ts right
Right.
now during this
Yeah.
coronavirus crisis.
Definitely. I'm seeing some PR don'ts right now, and so I would definitely love to share my opinions on that. The first is that you should not be running ads or promotions as though this was a normal marketing time. It isn't. Okay, so if you have ads running to visit your location right now, and I've still seen this particularly on social media, which means they just haven't gone in and paused their ads or anything like that, you need to stop. Messaging needs to shift, and your budget and energy should be put into some different places. Um, you need to be thinking about, okay, how do we get people to start thinking about our location, but not telling them that they should be traveling right now, because it's just going to come off as tone deaf, and they're just going to ignore it because it doesn't make sense for them right now.
Right. Right. Okay. All right. What else? Like let's talk maybe more PR specific. Tell me what we shouldn't be doing.
I mean, I definitely think that I kind of touched on this earlier with the rural destinations, but you should
Uh-huh.
not be going dark. I get it. You might feel like you don't know what to say or how to say it, but trust me when I say that people want to hear from you. And that was even from destination analysts today. People each week by, here in mid April, people are growing more and more excited each week at learning about new and exciting travel experiences or destinations to visit. That is a huge stat. Okay. That is something that you should be taking advantage of. People want to be thinking about travel. I mean, we're all daydreaming about it right now. I know I
Uh-huh.
am. I'm sure you are, about the second that we can safely get out of the quarantine and go travel. So make sure that you are getting the word out. And one of the ways to do that is, like we spoke about, getting out in front of your local news outlets, and letting them know, hey, here are some of the things that we have to offer. We want to be your contact for this, all that good stuff. Another way is to do these reactive and proactive media outreach, like we spoke about. Try and get some media coverage, because media coverage is what takes people from considering to confirmed. Okay. And that's a line that I use a lot, but it's a line that is very true. The Destination Development Association has a stat that, 82% of visitors believe a third party opinion on a destination, whereas only 15% believe advertising. And that isn't to say that advertising isn't worthwhile. It absolutely is to establish, to keep your brand going. But media coverage is what people really, really love to see that makes them take a place seriously.
Yeah, I think that just speaks to the importance of having a comprehensive plan that includes PR, that includes
Yes,
paid media, and neglecting one or the other is a
absolutely.
problem. They both have their place. They're both really critical. But I think if you're omitting one or the other, especially during this coronavirus crisis, huge mistake.
Absolutely. And I think I think that before this crisis, that's what at least I felt like I was seeing a lot of is people weren't putting a lot of stock in PR. They were putting more that was kind of getting ignored while they were might be putting a little bit more stock in other things. And I think that this has shown that it should be as important as other things in your plan, like advertising, like marketing, like paid media. Like you said, it should just be a valid part of that plan.
Yep, a major pillar.
Yes,
Absolutely.
exactly.
Well, I always try in these shows to kind of boil it down to a main takeaway. We've covered a lot in
Yes.
this episode, but if you want somebody, okay, this is the one thing I remember or take away from this show. What is that?
I think it's to remember that people will travel again. It may not be next week, it may not be next month, but they are going to travel again. And getting in front of them with media coverage is going to be a huge, huge thing that's going to get them to your destination.
I think that's a great point. And I'm just going to add one thing, and that's that,
Do it.
while paid ads may not seem terribly appropriate right now, news coverage is always appropriate.
Absolutely.
And that to me is evidence for even more the importance of PR at a time like this.
Yes, absolutely. I agree with that 100%. Yes,
Great. Well, Christina, you do courses, PR courses, right? That
I
people
do.
can attend.
Yes. Hmm.
So how can people find you?
So the easiest way to find me is I actually at the beginning of all this crisis put together a resources page. So that's ChristinaLenkowski.com/resources dash page. Hopefully this will go in the show notes or something like that because my last name is a bit of a doozy. But yes, on my resources page, I have a ton of free and paid resources for destinations. So whether that's and it's stuff for me, but it's also stuff from people that are in this industry, other experts in this industry as well. But the one thing that I'm really excited about that I just launched this week is I have a tourism PR playbook, coronavirus edition. So
Okay.
all that's quite a name, but I really want people destinations to be moving forward when it comes to their media relations. So this is a very affordable way to really learn how to do some of these things that we've talked about today, like the media kit, like reactive media, proactive media. I just want people to be able to move forward. And so that's a new course that I just launched.
Got it. Got it. Okay, great. Well, we have a LinkedIn group called Destination Marketers, and that's where we'll be posting the link to your website so that people can get
Perfect.
access to your courses.
Awesome.
Great. Well, Christina, thanks for coming on and sharing your PR knowledge with us today. Sure appreciate it.
Thank you. I mean, longtime listener, first time guest. So very, very exciting to be on here. And I know I've told you this, but I just love what you guys are doing. I feel like it's very needed. People really want this kind of support in our industry. And so I'm just happy to be a part of it.
Thanks a lot. Thanks for your kind words. I appreciate that. Well, everybody, this has been another episode of the Destination Marketing Podcast. Thanks for tuning in. Hang in there, and we'll talk to you soon.